In January 2019, just weeks before Donald Trump assumed office as President of the United States, he held a press conference at his Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. During this event, Trump laid out his views on territorial expansion, explicitly making the case that Greenland, a vast and resource-rich island, should be acquired by the United States. His comments set off a series of diplomatic tensions, raising questions about the future of Greenland and its place in the global geopolitical landscape. Trump claimed without evidence that China had begun operating the Panama Canal, suggesting that America's long-standing ownership of the waterway was crucial for economic security. He also raised concerns over the security of the United States in the Arctic and argued that acquiring Greenland, which was under Danish sovereignty, was critical for America's national defense and global influence. His suggestion of forcibly acquiring the island by military means, if Denmark refused to cooperate, shocked many and sent ripples across the world.
President-elect Trump says he wants to buy Greenland. I didn't know you could do something like that, but that's what Trump posted over the weekend. He wrote that the United States of America feels that the ownership and control of Greenland is an absolute necessity.
While some of these statements might have been seen as rhetoric, they prompted discussions on the long-standing strategic importance of Greenland. As the largest island in the world, Greenland holds vast untapped resources, significant military value, and a key geographic position. In order to understand the implications of Trump's comments and the geopolitical game at play, it is essential to explore Greenland's history, its relationship with Denmark, and its strategic value in the 21st century. Greenland's historical significance. Greenland's strategic and geopolitical significance is rooted in its long history, dating back to the Viking Age. The island was discovered by Norse explorers around the year 1000, and they began settling there. However, the Viking colonies eventually disappeared, and the island remained sparsely populated for centuries. The Inuit people, the ancestors of today's Greenlandic population, began settling Greenland around 1450. The Danish colonization of Greenland began in 1721, marking the start of its relationship with Denmark that continues to this day. During World War II, Greenland became a focal point for the United States as it sought to protect the island from potential German occupation. The U.S. military occupied Greenland from 1941 to 1945, and following the war, the island was returned to Danish control. The Cold War, however, reignited interest in Greenland's strategic value, with the U.S. eyeing the island as a key military outpost against the Soviet Union. U.S. interest in Greenland and territorial acquisition. The United States has a long history of expanding its territory through strategic acquisitions, beginning with the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. Over the years, the U.S. expanded its borders through purchases such as the acquisition of Florida from Spain in 1819, and later the acquisition of Alaska from Russia in 1867. These purchases were often made at opportune moments, with the U.S. capitalizing on geopolitical shifts and the desire of other nations to offload territories for economic or strategic reasons. Greenland was never far from American interests during these years. In 1868, U.S. Secretary of State William H. Seward, who had orchestrated the Alaska Purchase.
In 2019, President Donald Trump made headlines around the world by expressing interest in purchasing Greenland, a semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. This announcement was met with ridicule, skepticism, and outright rejection from Denmark and Greenland alike. Many dismissed it.
Initiated negotiations with Denmark to acquire both Greenland and Iceland. However, due to domestic resistance in the U.S. Congress, the negotiations were ultimately unsuccessful. During the Cold War, the United States once again focused on Greenland, recognizing its strategic position in the Arctic. Greenland's location allowed for U.S. bombers to rapidly reach the Soviet Union, and the island also served as a critical location for early warning radar systems. In 1946, the U.S. offered Denmark $100 million in gold to purchase Greenland, but Denmark rejected the offer, despite recognizing the strategic importance of the island to the U.S. military. Instead, Denmark allowed the US to establish a military presence on Greenland, including the establishment of Thule Air Base in 1951, which became one of the most important US military installations during the Cold War. Greenland's autonomy and changing status. Greenland's political and administrative status has evolved over time. In 1979, Denmark granted Greenland home rule, giving the island greater autonomy over its domestic affairs. Greenland gained control over its domestic policy, including matters related to mining, while Denmark retained control over foreign affairs and defense. The island's relationship with Denmark has continued to evolve, with a 2009 referendum paving the way for greater self-governance. Despite these advancements, Greenland's economic reliance on Denmark has remained substantial. Denmark continues to subsidize Greenland's government, which accounts for a significant portion of the island's GDP. However, a growing sense of nationalism and desire for independence has been evident in Greenland, especially among the younger population. In 2023, nearly 70% of Greenlanders expressed support for independence from Denmark, which has led to a push for greater self-determination. The U.S. strategic interest in Greenland today. Greenland's geographic position and its role in global geopolitics make it a valuable asset in the modern world. The island sits at the center of the Arctic, a region that has become increasingly important due to the melting of Arctic ice and the opening of new shipping routes. The Transpolar Sea Route, which runs through the Arctic, has the potential to become the shortest maritime route between Asia and Europe, dramatically reducing travel time and shipping costs. As climate change continues to melt Arctic ice, control over Greenland and its surrounding waters will become even more strategically important. Beyond the maritime routes, Greenland is rich in natural resources, including rare earth elements, minerals, oil, and gas. The U.S. Geological Survey has identified Greenland as holding vast reserves of minerals critical to modern technologies, such as lithium, cobalt, and graphite, which are essential for electric vehicle batteries, renewable energy, and defense technologies. This makes Greenland an even more attractive prospect for the United States, as it seeks to secure access to critical resources and reduce its dependency on countries like China, which currently dominates the global supply of rare earth elements. Moreover, the U.S. military's presence in Greenland remains critical for national security. Greenland's location allows for early detection of potential threats from Russia and other adversaries. Thule Air Base remains one of the key military installations for the U.S. and NATO, providing crucial radar and satellite tracking capabilities in the Arctic. Trump's proposal and its aftermath. In 2019, Donald Trump reignited interest in Greenland when he publicly suggested that the U.S. should buy the island from Denmark. This proposal was met with a firm rejection from Denmark, with Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen calling the idea absurd. However, Trump's comments sparked a renewed conversation about Greenland's strategic value, both militarily and economically. Trump's suggestion to use force, if necessary, to acquire Greenland from Denmark raised concerns about the potential for escalating tensions between the U.S., Denmark, and Greenland. While the Danish government firmly rejected the idea of selling the island, the U.S. continued to maintain a strong military presence in Greenland, and Greenland's growing desire for independence has made the situation more complex. Greenland's Prime Minister, Kim Kielsen, emphasized that Greenlanders should have the right to determine their own future, without interference from outside powers. This sentiment was echoed by other Greenlandic leaders, who have increasingly pushed for full independence from Denmark. The conversation around Greenland's future now involves not only the U.S. but also Russia, China, and other Arctic powers, all of whom have a vested interest in the region's resources and strategic positioning. Greenland's path forward. The future of Greenland is uncertain, with multiple paths available for the island. While many Greenlanders seek full independence from Denmark, this would come with significant challenges, particularly in terms of economic sustainability. Greenland's small population and lack of infrastructure mean that it would require significant foreign investment to exploit its natural resources on a large scale. However, independence could also allow Greenland to pursue its own foreign policy, establish new relationships with countries like the United States, and take control of its resources. Alternatively, Greenland could continue its relationship with Denmark, but this would likely mean continued reliance on subsidies and limited control over its geopolitical and economic future. One potential option for Greenland is to enter into a compact of free association with the United States, similar to the agreements held by the Pacific Island nations of the Marshall Islands, Micronesia, and Palau. This would allow Greenland to maintain its sovereignty while benefiting from U.S. military protection and economic assistance. This could be an attractive compromise for Greenland, allowing it to balance its desire for independence with the realities of its economic situation. Thanks for watching this deep dive into Greenland's future and its geopolitical importance. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button to show your support. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update on our latest content. Drop a comment below to share your thoughts. Do you think Greenland should stay with Denmark or explore independence? Let's get the conversation going. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.